Yeah, dandelions and softweeds will be...
No thistles though.
Well,
Maybe you can show them the Thule feed container too.
okay, yeah, okay. So if you from here, this is where the box of eggs will be deposited. So when we go to harvest, you can see these are half dozen size. So we'll go ahead and fill up and finish one, and then start another one. And then when the members come, they're instructed, when they harvest, when they want to take their harvest, they'll take a half a dozen. And mark them on the board.
A dozen for what's the thing? Oh, for 30 hours?
Oh, that's just an estimate from last year, but that just taken proportional.
It changes over time.
No.
We say once you have put 20 hours in the beginning of the season, you can take half a dozen eggs.
That's an estimate, because we're based on proportional
be able to
time.
have for everybody.
Yeah, so if someone doesn't work at all, they shouldn't be taking eggs or vegetables. But it's again, or if someone works a lot, they're entitled to more eggs. So that's kind of a bit of a guideline, which was for later in the season last year when people had accumulated a certain amount of hours. So obviously we're starting at an earlier stage than ours. So it's proportional, but this is where people will take the eggs from, and that's what we as chicken team, and then you see
I think I gave you the book, or did you make a new one?
Okay, yeah. So we don't have the logbook here, but this is where the chicken logbook is. So when we every morning, we want to make every entry of taking care of the chicken. So even if there's no eggs, we want to make sure we record every time we go and take care of the eggs. So we put there's a date column, AM or PM. Approximately how much time we might have spent taking care of them, a comment, and then the number of eggs harvested. Okay, so that's kind of what we just make a quick entry like that, just so we have a good record of them. So that's the harvesting. I think someone else is here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is in terms of the chicken team. They won't go there.
Yeah, they seem to want to try to make a nest or something.
They're carpenter bees. They actually.
Oh, I thought it was a bumblebee.
Well, there's different varieties, but they actually they'll do a better job than your drill. If you haven't seen that, they'll actually make a really perfect hole in a weakened wood.
Really? Wow.
Oh yeah, and they'll lay they're solitary bees. They're not hives. So let's talk a minute about the team as a whole. So you saw some emails going out about we can move forward. We saw an email going out about the coverage, and we as a coverage team, there's primary coverage and there's backup coverage, right? So as you are already keenly aware of that, if we miss coverage for one time, we're gonna.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal, right? So we want to be really diligent about if we can't do our coverage, we have to notify someone who can, right? That's why it's important that we fill out the backup schedule. So here's the current schedule. There's a few more people who have signed up for backups, but you can see we still have some slots for.
I think I signed myself up for a backup.
Yeah, so this one's not, the backup coverage is not fully updated on here because a few of you have given me slots.
Okay, I'll do Thursday night.
Oh, Thursday night? I think
that's what I said.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
I forget what a call
I'm going to
person
reprint.
is.
So the point is not to look at all the details of this right now, but is to, to say, okay, here's the schedule now, what do we do with it? Okay, so the good news is that we got coverage pretty well. We got pretty good coverage we got all primary coverage done, and we have, I'd say, 70% of the backup coverage. I'm not that worried about that because I know the people have said that they'll do more or less, you know, so I think we'll, just a matter of getting it committed to and documented. So we'll have the coverage schedule. So now how do you know to call someone or who to call? So everybody's going to have this coverage schedule, and you'll kind of work as a buddy system. So so you'll know who your backup is and your primary is, so you'll have each other's phone numbers and email.
Okay, so you're going to be sending out that information? So if someone will need my work number, for instance, to call me in for Tuesday night? Or...
Right. So we actually have all that information already. It's just that we're going to put it together in the list, and we're going to actually post it right here too. So if you come here and you happen to be here and know that someone can't come, or you know someone calls you and says help or something, like, you can help them too. So we want to try to work as a broader team, but we want to work as a buddy system. So we're each responsible to make sure, you know, as primary coverers, that we have a backup. And I already this coming 2 weeks, the Dennis, you know, who's doing a lot of the mornings, he's actually off on he's off to Europe for 2 weeks. You know, so we have, you know, so we're immediately getting that in that situation. It's going to be all summer that way. You know, people go on vacations, or someone gets sick, or they have, you know, work to do or whatever. So if it's an emergency situation, like usually if it's you're planning a trip or something to go away, you know, it's easy to schedule. But sometimes something happens in the middle of the day, or you know, my daughter got sick and I have to run. You know, like, what do you do? So you call your backup person. Go, what happens if you're back? You know, if it's an emergency situation, you can't get your backup person. So so we want to. That's why we want to have the whole phone tree.
And it will be on the website too, right?
Yeah, that's going to be on the website, and then if there's a concern or an issue, then let me know too, the day of. So that's the, you know,
so we'll have your phone number.
That's the phone number, and you'll have everybody else's phone number. And then
so you have people's work numbers and cell numbers and all that, Jim?
As much as we can, as much as people have given us.
Yeah, because you might want to ask people, because that's the thing, during the day we need to maybe reach them.
Oh yeah, that's going to happen. Yeah. It's going to, you know, things are going to happen the day of, and you know, we have to, you know, that's the kind of the worst case scenario, but you know, we want to be prepared for that too. No,
it's too bad we didn't have a phone here.
I was just wondering if we're able to go into the shade, or is that okay, or is that bad for your photographing? Or?
I don't know.
No, it's fine.
You're fine.
I have sunscreen, but...
No, you're fine. I know you weren't prepared.
I did put sunscreen in, but still. Also hot.
And then for the first, I think, couple of weeks to start off with, we're going to have like a check-in system too, just to make sure. So we did this last year, the last couple of years. Just to make sure no one forgot, because you don't know what you don't know, right? So if someone got up in the morning and they went to work and
they forgot that they were supposed to. Yeah, it happens.
And that happened last year, and actually we actually lost chicken to heat last year. Because someone forgot, and we didn't have as good ventilation, so we also put in better cross ventilation. So for the first.
That person must have felt bad.
Yeah, no, exactly. So for the first couple of weeks, we're going to have a call-in person, and I'm going to be the PM call-in person. So whoever does the closing up should just call me just to say I did it. Because if you know, there's a couple of people live nearby here, we can always call, or you know, I can just to make sure.
Shouldn't that be kind of a permanent thing?
Well, let's see how it goes.
Because I think anywhere along the line somebody could forget.
Yeah. Well, I think what happens is that when people get into a rhythm, for the first couple of weeks, or at least, you know, especially when we're going on, you know, have vacations. And let's talk about it as a team to see how we feel about it. But you know, the more diligent, the more we put into it, the more likely that we'll not have any incidents. That's for sure. So we'll have a morning call-in and an evening